We are here at the very nice Seeburg Castle in Kreuzlingen at the Digital Lounge at Lakeside, getting towards the end of a full day of inspiring presentations, a lot of technology insights, many interesting discussions, and with me today, and I'm glad to have you here, Dr. Frederik Flöther, who is the Chief Quantum Officer at Quantum Basel, another Swiss institution which serves or is in the area of high tech. So glad to have you here, Frederik. And let me just start with the first question. So what breakthrough are you seeing where quantum computer supports AI use cases in the future, or today even, and in the future as well?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I think we have to look both in short term and long term with these breakthroughs. In the short term, what is really exciting is that these quantum algorithms, they can discover some novel patterns that we may not be able to discover with AI. And so if we then combine them together with the AI techniques, we can build these ensemble models, and those then allow us to discover new kinds of patterns. So that's more of a short-term application. Really the long-term goal with quantum computing is the fault tolerance. And so many of the big players in that space, they now expect to have fault-tolerant machines by end of this decade, and then this will enable a whole new suite of applications also in AI.
So why not only in 10 years? So quantum is here today. You said in your presentation before that it is still at the beginning. It's a very young technology. However, why should companies already start dealing with AI and quantum today and not just in 10 years?
That's true. It's no longer science fiction. So we have quantum computers. We know how they work. At the same time, it's a very young technology. It is not yet mainstream, and it is just making that transition from lab to industry. And so why should one care today? Well, on the one hand, it just takes time. It takes time to build up the right skills, think the problems in a new way, to build up new architectures, to develop those pipelines, also to secure intellectual property. And next to all those applications, there are also security implications that some of the quantum algorithms, they actually threaten currently used standards such as RSA. And that is yet another reason why one needs to start considering today how to migrate to some of those quantum safe frameworks.
So you said that quantum today is not yet ready to crack RSA encryption. However, it might be towards the end of this century, not this century actually, this decade. And there is also the risk, and this is actually calls for starting today, that data can be stolen today but can be encrypted using quantum once it's ready. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that topic as well?
So first of all, on the timeline, you ask 10 people, you'll get 11 opinions. So opinions do vary. One can match it a little bit against these estimates when quantum computers enter this fault-tolerant regime. As I said, many predict that it might be end of this decade or early next decade. And so then it is not unreasonable, many then speculate that perhaps in the 2030s that these quantum computers are big enough to actually crack those kinds of encryption. Now, why should one care? Well, it's called harvest now, decrypt later. So you can steal data today, and even if you're not able to decrypt it, then this data still has value at the time, let's call it Q day, when these machines are powerful enough. And so with such attacks, one therefore already has to start taking protective measures today, particularly for those types of data that is particularly sensitive over the long term.
So for example, health data, which has a much more long-term kind of value. Is it the conclusion right that health is one of the industries that might be first disrupted by quantum?
I think, again, there's the security point of view and then the application point of view. So if we take the security point of view, you're right. I think we have to look at what are the sensitive types of data. Medical data is definitely high on that list, financial data as well. But then one also has to take the application point of view. And historically, actually, a lot of financial organizations were some of the first to experiment also with the quantum algorithms, simply because if you can get small improvements, there is a lot of money that is potentially available then. in terms of, for instance, forecasting financial markets as one example. Currently, actually, there are a lot of organizations also looking in the logistics and the manufacturing space. And if we look a little bit more long term, then some of those holy grail type of applications, for instance, modeling the molecules in order to discover new blockbuster drugs, a lot of those are then in the pharma industry. So you really do have this interplay and different applications across different types of industries.
So it means quantum will not replace existing technologies, so there are certain use cases that will still be on traditional technologies. So what you mentioned some of them, are there any other typical potential quantum applications that you might see besides applications in the area of drug development, in the pharmaceutical industry, some other industries where you see quantum becoming a threat maybe for the companies, but also, and even more so, a big opportunity?
Right. So it will definitely not replace the classical systems, at least not for the foreseeable future, that we will not be doing our Excel on the quantum computer or sending our emails from the quantum computer. You will have these type of hybrid computational pipelines where most of the tasks are actually done by the classical computer, and then for the one specific step, the quantum computer steps in. So in a sense, it is outsourced to the quantum computer, and then once it has that result, it feeds it back into the pipeline, and then the classical computer does the rest. So these type of architectures are now being developed, and the applications, as you touched on, they really do range across the different industries. So for instance, you can consider optimizing routes in logistics, you can consider optimizing manufacturing processes, you can consider a lot of the machine learning applications where you're trying to make predictions and build models that are more and more accurate, and also be able to train those models more efficiently. There are really a lot of opportunities there, and that's where a lot of the energy and time by people goes in right now to discover what are some of those most promising algorithms and applications in the different industries.
Mm-hmm. So the knowledge and the talent availability might become a critical role also in quantum technologies. What would you recommend a young person who wants to spend or plans his or her career in IT technology? What is the recommendation? Should this young person go into quantum, and why?
One of the fascinating things about quantum, first of all, it is multidisciplinary. So you have different types of skill sets and also different types of degrees which can go in that direction, from physics to mathematics to computer science to its intersection with other types of fields. That is fascinating. For me also, what has always been fascinating is that it is a technology, and so we've been discussing all these great applications, but at the same time it is based on quantum mechanics, and that has all kinds of implications for our worldview. For instance, one may have heard of Schrödinger's cat, and what does all of that mean? There are ethical implications, and so I think it is a fascinating space to be in because you have the technology and then you have the whole holistic picture around it. And so I'm convinced there will be a lot to do, a lot to learn for the next decades and beyond.
And it's a very broad kind of opportunity for people going into that. Okay, thank you, Frederik, for this interesting and inspiring interview as well. I think, and we have seen Switzerland also in quantum is one of the leading countries, having the first commercial quantum computer in Switzerland. Is it Europe, right? Or
it is the first commercial system in Switzerland. That's
okay,
right.
That's great, and there is a lot of potential. It shows we have the talent, we have everything, and the Quantum Basel kind of lab is another proof that Switzerland really has everything we need to become and to continue to be a digital leader in technology, and I think that's really cool.
I agree. We have a great talent pool here in Switzerland, so let's build on that. Thank you for having me.